Hey, Alderman, being on the fact that we're on the subject of new production and other things like that, what is the importance of Governor Quinn's support for the gasification bill and the Ford project, in your opinion?
Well, I think the gasification, the Chicago Clean Energy Leucadia project is extremely significant. And I think we need to take into account that this had required or needed legislative approval. Both the Senate and the House approved a bill that allows for a $3 billion project to come to the southeast side, the 10th Ward, and allows for thousands of jobs, and Ted could speak to some of the jobs and benefits, but it allows for a great economic boom to not just the 10th Ward, but the city of Chicago and the entire state in a time when it's really needed. And it allows for downstate jobs too. We're going to be using downstate coal, Illinois coal, which is very rich and populous downstate, to help fuel this facility. It puts people to work downstate, more than 100 people down there, more than 1,100 good paying jobs here in the city of Chicago for approximately 4 years, and it provides the citizens, myself, yourself included, with stable prices on natural gas that we use to heat our homes during the winter, that we use to fuel our stoves. And it provides protection for consumers too, for some reason if the prices of the natural gas that is being provided by this plant go higher than expected, that the consumers are not going to be left out and hanging to dry. We actually have some rate protections in place to protect the common folks, which is exactly what this legislation was intended to bring economic development to the community, but to protect the ratepayers so they were not the ones who were hurt by bringing big business into the city.
Before we get to the subject of jobs and the infrastructure buildup on the Ford plant, can you both, either you talk a little bit more about who is Leucadia, what do they do? Also, there's a term that I've heard described as the plot of land that the property is going to be built on. What I've heard is that it's going to require around $30 million just to prepare it for this plant.
That's true.
I've heard the term brownfield site being used. Can you talk a little bit about that impact that we're going to have in the area as far as the site?
I'll actually let Ted talk about it because Ted's somewhat familiar with the site.
Yeah.
He's intimately familiar because of some of his history. Not that we both don't know about it, but Ted, if you would.
Yeah, sure. That's the site of the old LTV, fully integrated steel facility that was there that at one time employed over 5,000 area residents. I, as a young man, walked in there at the age of 18 and walked out at the age of 33. So I spent, when the Alderman is talking about intimate knowledge, I know that tract of land well. And one of the concerns as a resident, not as speaking, taking my hat off as the Calumet Area Industrial Commission, as a resident, is how was that ever going to be remediated? Because industry 100 years ago is not the same players that our industry now, and didn't exactly do the right thing to communities. So we recognize that and openly talk about it. Yes, the cost of remediating that land is enormous, and without a redevelopment project, as we all know, Washington is not talking about spending any money on anything right now. All they're looking to do is being able to look at how to cut the deficits. So we can't look to Washington. We know about the state of Illinois, and we certainly know about the city and county's finances. So without private development coming in and spearheading this cleanup, it simply would not have taken place. It would be a non-starter. There's just no money out in any of our government sources.
And it's about a $29 to $30 million cleanup. So you're talking about private company Leucadia, traded on the New York Stock Exchange, who has done other gasification plants throughout the country and are looking to do more. And gasification plants are quite honestly commonplace overseas in China, in Europe, Asia, where they tend to be a little more accepted. Technology has advanced more recently in recent years to have those type of projects become more acceptable here in the States, and I think we're starting to catch up and take advantage of those technologies and the benefits that they provide.